all other things coming into play. And again, we have, can you get people to move to a certain place? Elon, again, he was able to choose where he put SpaceX. It's no accident. It's in Hawthorne, okay, in Southern California, in LA. He put it there because that's where he had the talent base. That's where the aerospace engineers were that he could, bring into his factory. So he thinks about this carefully. He doesn't just put his factory anywhere. He puts it where he's going to have the resources to make it work. And so Hawthorne was a very attractive place. I mean, you just look at the census data and how many aerospace engineers are in that area. There are a lot, okay? And of course now there are a lot of people that he's bringing in because of the notoriety and the success. But yeah, he had the luxury of choosing a spot that was very fertile ground for him to build a factory. And also the property in Hawthorne at the time was very undervalued. He bought this whole Hawthorne facility, again, for a song. I believe it was Northrop had that facility. They were doing refurbishing of 747 fuselages, I believe. And actually, another story. When I was actually walking with Elon through that facility, okay, September 2007 is what happened. I had crossed paths with Elon at the AIAA Space 2007, and he wanted to talk more about TPS, which actually is interesting at the time because at that time he hadn't flown a Falcon 1 successfully, but he was already looking ahead for a TPS for a Dragon capsule for a much larger rocket. So anyhow, so he and I had crossed paths, and he wanted to talk, and he asked, can I come and visit him at SpaceX? And at that time, they had their facilities in El Segundo, which is 10, 15 miles away from Hawthorne. So I go over to El Segundo and talk to his executive assistant. She said, oh, Elon's over at Hawthorne looking at this new facility, that he's thinking of leasing. And so you can find him here. So she gave me directions. So I hopped in my rental car and buzzed over to Hawthorne. And at that time, let's just say it wasn't very impressive. And anyhow, so I found my way inside, and there's Elon walking around, and it's this huge facility, but there's like trash and old discarded equipment everywhere. I mean, it looks a little bit like a disaster movie set, for Hollywood. Like, oh, this place is going to need some work. And this is in September, and I think it was about mid-September. And so he's asking me some questions about TPS, and we're walking through this facility. And so at one point I turned to him and say, so when are you moving in here, Elon? He says, we'll be in here in October. So this is middle of September. There's trash everywhere. There's the lavatories are non-functional. I mean, you sure a health inspector will allow people in this building? He said, we'll be in here in October. And I remember thinking, when he told me this, no way. Okay, no, not going to happen. Well, I came back in October, and they were in the building. Okay, now, and he already had the layout. He already had the shop areas and the engineers in their cubicles. And I remember the engineers are there working while they're putting up drywall, and while the engineers are working, and so they have plastic, on their desks and sometimes over their head because the mud from the drywall is coming down on their desks while they're trying to work. But they were in October, okay? And so when he puts his mind to, okay, this is going to happen, people move heaven and earth to make that happen. But when they moved in there, that was a kind of a rundown area of LA, okay? So it was right next to Hawthorne Airport. He liked that because he needed to have easy access to air transportation because of his Tesla activities here in the Bay Area. So he was flying back and forth. So he liked the location. Hawthorne literally almost gave him the facility. I don't know what he paid, but he got a really sweetheart deal on that facility. And now, like I say, anything that's not nailed down in Hawthorne, Elon is buying it and filling it full of people because he's expanded so much.